what do Mr. Beast, Graham Stephan, and PewDiePie all have in common? Well, they've built a successful multi-million-dollar business here on YouTube. But rather than talk about how much money these top creators make on the platform, today we're going to break down how much money a small creator like myself has made over the last year of doing YouTube. And the greatest part about all that is that all these awesome YouTubers have been in my shoes and your shoes at one point or another. So whether you're an inspiring creator or maybe you've already made pieces of content before, I hope this video brings you a ton of value. So now let's talk about monetization, how long it took me to make my first penny on YouTube, how many videos it took, and all the nitty and gritty that you will want to know. So if you're a creator on YouTube already, you probably already know the threshold that you must meet in order to actually monetize, and that is to reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. And for some context, at the time of making this video, I'm at 1,350 subscribers, and I also have just around 4,500 hours of watch time. So am I monetized? The answer is yes. Otherwise, I'd probably not be making this video. But the real question still looms, and that is it a lot of money that I'm making at 1,300 subscribers? And that's what you're about to find out. But first, you gotta have some context. My original goal when starting this YouTube journey was to hit monetization at about the 12-month mark. Unfortunately for me, and putting out a lot of content through trial and error and making good and bad pieces of content, I ended up hitting monetization at around the 11-month mark. Now, you also might be wondering, how many videos did I post in order to hit that mark? And the answer may actually surprise you. And to be completely honest with you, I lost count. But luckily for me, I have a program called TubeBuddy that actually shows me how many videos I've posted. And that very number happens to be over 200 videos that I had posted before I reached monetization. Now, that might sound like a big and scary number if you're just starting out on the platform, but there have been a lot of YouTubers that have done it in a shorter period of time. Eric, for example. But just to give you an average for context, it's anywhere between 200 to 300 videos posted before you reach monetization. But don't be frightened if the sound of this statistic scares you a little bit, because it all depends on the type of content that you post and how the audience actually reacts to your content. So now that you know a little bit about how to partner with YouTube through AdSense and monetization, which is exactly what we just covered here, let's talk about the other ways to monetize on YouTube as well. And the first one is sponsorships and brand deals with corporations. And most of the time, this can take quite a while to build up before you can actually start reaching out to brands and they'll start taking you seriously. Now, there's no real formula for this. Some companies are willing to work with micro-influencers and other companies only work with influencers. The main factor being the amount of followers and subscribers that you have. And of course, the more subscribers and followers that you do have, the better and more lucrative the brand deals will get. By the way, if you work for a company and you want to sponsor this channel, make sure to reach me on Instagram at happy2beroo. Next up, we have merch. Now, merch is actually unlocked on YouTube at 10,000 subscribers. So does that mean that's the only time you can set up merch? No, I actually have a merch store called bestmerchever.com that you can actually already go buy merch, but it isn't linked through my YouTube because that feature, like I mentioned before, doesn't unlock till a certain threshold. But if you have an audience that really likes your content, they might go and buy your merch, so it doesn't hurt to set one up early on. Now, last but most certainly not least, we have courses and coaching. Now, this is actually, when it comes down to it, the biggest revenue source for most content creators on the platform.
Now, Lamborghini.
And if you're just starting out, this is a great way to monetize early, so that way you can continue to make content for the long term and actually have consistent revenue coming in during the come up. The reason why I don't have courses or coaching is because there are plenty of paid courses out there that will teach you about investing and finances, and a lot of them seem to be a little bit scammy, and I want to avoid that completely. And you might be wondering, well, what do you actually make on the platform? Right now, the only real source of revenue through YouTube is my AdSense. I don't have any sponsorships at the time of making this video, and I don't have any courses or coaching to sell you. So I have to count on my AdSense being high enough to make some income. Now, again, at the time of making this video, I'm only 1 month in the process. So these numbers aren't going to seem astronomical, but we'll play through them to see what I might make at the end of this year and also possibly what I could make next year as well. So really briefly, the way that AdSense works is that for every 1,000 views, there's a certain dollar amount based off of your content, what advertisers are willing to pay to advertise to to your audience. So what that's called is CPM, or clicks per milli meaning 1,000. And CPM is the total gross amount that you make. And then YouTube takes their cut, and then you get what's called RPM. That is your take home pay per 1,000 views. Here is the RPM for my channel and the dollar per month amount that I'm making on the channel as well. Now, if we took all the views from last year to now, the 365 days that I've been on the platform, and we were to just duplicate that into next year, well, that would mean that the total net income that I would be able to pocket, before taxes of course, would be around $467, which doesn't sound like a lot, and truly it's not. The whole point of YouTube is to grow, is to get likes, subscribers, and to get more views on your content. If you're not growing, you're doing something wrong on the platform. And that is something that I have to remind myself every single day, and that is why I work so hard towards achieving my goals. Now, what would happen if we 10 or 100x our view counts from last year into this year and next year? Well, the math gets pretty easy from there. If it's $467 that we would have made just replicating the same amount of views, then at 10x, I would expect to have $4,670. And my goal for the end of next year is actually to 100x. If I can do that, I should be making around $46,000 per year on YouTube through AdSense. And honestly, I would use that money to hire an editor so I can make more valuable content for you guys, and also maybe even start a second or third YouTube channel. Now, again, even though I don't make a lot of money now, I don't let that discourage myself, because I pretty much worked for an entire year while making $0 on the platform. I cranked out over 200 YouTube videos, all while making literally $0. If you are a content creator and you see that and you hear those numbers, you might be thinking to yourself, should I even do this? And honestly, if you love it, I say yes, pursue your dreams, go for it, and become the greatest version of yourself that you can possibly be. Otherwise, you're gonna have a lot more regrets in life.